Second to only the quarterback position, many believe offensive tackles are the key to success in an NFL offense. More specifically, the left tackle, since they are usually the ones protecting the blind side of the quarterback. We see edge rushers come around the left tackle and cause a forced fumble all the time. Now, having a star left tackle won't prevent quarterback fumbles, but it will certainly help stop one large cause of it. Because of this, offensive tackles get paid massive amounts of money, even if they are injury prone and average on the field. One of the best ways an NFL team can find their starting left tackle is through the draft. This way, if they hit on a player, they are spending a fraction of their cap space on this left tackle, since rookie contracts aren't crazy expensive. So with that being said, I wanted to take a look at a player who a lot of people consider to be the best offensive lineman in this class. His name is Andrew Thomas, and he is the left tackle for the Georgia Bulldogs. He is 6'5", 320 pounds, and has great length for the NFL. Not to mention, he has played in every game since he was a freshman, and has only suffered a minor ankle injury in his collegiate career. And although measurables are important, you can't have a player be successful on size alone. So, let's get into the film of Andrew Thomas. The first thing we have to look at is Andrew Thomas' strength. It's advanced for the college level, and he should have a fine time translating into the NFL year one. He's able to hold back pass rushers just fine, and he's good at pushing defenders out of the way to create a lane for his running backs, and overpower the defenders at the point of attack. He relies on his strength, and will sometimes allow his edge rushers to shed the block, especially against the run. Next, his athleticism. Based on film, his speed and athleticism are really good for an offensive tackle. He's good at pulling during run blocking plays, and he also has enough athleticism to get to the second level when needed. But even though he has enough athleticism, he needs to improve the angles he takes on run plays in the second level, as we often see Andrew Thomas completely miss an assignment in open space and allow defenders to evade him. Looking at his film, I see an issue that keeps repeating itself during the tape. And although it doesn't happen every down, Andrew Thomas tends to lose his balance every once in a while. It appears that this is because Andrew Thomas usually gets too top heavy and can get too aggressive. We also see this when defenders have their hands inside and then proceed to block shed Thomas, as that tends to be when he loses balance the most. Now let's take a look at his mechanics as an offensive tackle. As I mentioned earlier, there are a few flaws when it comes to Andrew Thomas getting too top heavy. But one thing I like about Andrew Thomas is that he always keeps his feet moving. He does tend to play a little high as well, and offensive tackles should usually be coming out of their stances lower than the defender. It's a bit harder when you have the size of Andrew Thomas at 6'5", but sometimes being high is just another way to lose balance and be overly top heavy. Another thing I mentioned earlier is that Andrew Thomas uses his strength, but doesn't necessarily contain the defenders. This often allows defenders to shed him easily and leads to Andrew Thomas falling off balance, like I said earlier. But one major thing I noticed is that defenders could slip around Andrew Thomas' shoulder. Again, this is because he is too top heavy and plays too high. Even though he is always moving his feet, he relies on his upper body and it ultimately kills him. There are definitely mechanic issues that will need to be fixed, but man, if he gets these fixed, he can be a real problem for edge rushers. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about Andrew Thomas' competitive toughness. When the ball is snapped, he is quick to get up and use his strength to move defenders out of the way. He does a great job and plays hard during this time. However, after the ball leaves the pocket and backfield, Andrew Thomas seems to immediately let the defender get off, and then he starts to jog toward the ball carrier. He plays hard when the ball is behind him, but as soon as it's in front or even beside him, he sort of seems to give up a little bit. Sure, most of the time this doesn't lead to much, but every once in a while the edge rusher going against Andrew will make use of this opportunity, and it could cause the ball carrier to not get as many yards as he could. Even though he doesn't always play through the whistle, if the ball is near him, he will play hard and he will do what it takes to win. So do I think Andrew Thomas is a for sure top 5 prospect like a lot of other people think? Well, honestly, I don't. but I do think he's a fantastic player with top 5 potential and should be taken in the first round, especially when the NFL is always looking for their next bulldog in the trenches.